Welcome everyone to another episode of the Aussie Game Podcast, where we talk all things Australian football. Got an absolutely massive episode coming up. We're going to dissect the Young Socceroos, their game against Cuba. Going to review the Australia Cup final. Plenty of overseas action to go through as well. So we've got some national team news. We're going to do an A-Leagues wrap. Of course, the Australian Championship is upcoming this weekend, so we're going to have a look at the opening week of fixtures. And then we're going to round it all off with our team of the week. Here to join me to go through all that is Mopper. How are you, mate?
Oh, fantastic. How good is football? It was alive. What a great night last night. South Melbourne's Lakeside Stadium, the theatre, the suspense. This game had it all. Even prior to kick-off, my friend, Heidelberg lose Sabat Nagor before even the ball had been kicked. He had to go back to Central Coast. They tried absolutely everything to get him to play one last match, but were denied, quite probably harshly. And then Newcastle, well, they lost Badlardo to the World Cup, and then disaster. Max Cooper falls ill the night before and can't play and has to watch the game from his hotel. And then Newcastle, they haven't won a trophy since 2008, has been propped up just to survive in the latest years. And then Heidelberg, second team outside the A-League to be the final, only the second team outside the A-League to be in the final. Incredible. Founded by Greek immigrants in 1958, initially called different names before forming the NSL as a founding member in 1977. What a story. And then the football game, it kicks off. A David and Goliath battle, toe-to-toe. See moments all around the pitch. And I just want to point out the 70th minute. It was like going toe-to-toe with Ali and Fraser, these two. It was fantastic. What a great element of football it was and an occasion. An almighty contest for the ages, Chief, and will go down as one of the greatest games in Australia's history. It had everything. Bandages, red cards, great goals, drama, passion, two fearless leaders and great coaches. What a story. 718 clubs. There could be not more two deserving sides to give credit to for their community work, their club, and Australian football. Absolute cracker.
Yeah, well said, Mopper. We're going to go through the Australia Cup final in a bit more detail, but let's start off with the Young Socceroos, who played their third game of the Under-20 World Cup this morning. Obviously, they had already lost to Italy and Argentina, so this was an absolutely must-win against Cuba. And we saw the lineup coming out now before kickoff. So Stephen Hall retained his spot in goals. James Overy played at right back. Seb Esposito was at centre back. Lucas Harrington came in for Kikianis, and then Taladera also came in at left back as well. A couple more changes ahead. So Lewis Agosti came in. Ocon balanced out that midfield, Badalado and Pearman in there as well. Max Caputo got the nod to play up front, and Daniel Benny, who we thought might play on the right, but ended up playing next to Caputo and worked quite well. But what did you think of the inclusions? My thought was that all four of the boys that came in were either solid or pretty outstanding. So I think they added a lot, those four.
Yeah, great to see Harrington. What a fantastic game he had. Very strong in the area, isn't he? He was really good. Taladera just balances us out on the left-hand side, doesn't he? He's just a natural left-sided player. Agosti, what a great start. Cracking shots in the first half. He was shooting from everywhere. So unlucky not to score. He had a great game. And Caputo puts two away. Probably unlucky to be subbed. And really importantly, I thought Overy and Benny would start on that right-hand side, which would be absolutely fantastic. But Benny was pushing high as we were trying to push for goals. But they really linked up well. Overy was really sensational in that first half, setting up play. So I thought all the inclusions were well-deserved. Pearman did cop a knock in the first half and battled through. But I thought the Aussie starting lineup was fresh. It was good and provided great balance against a Cuba side where you could see the difference in the pace of the game and the standard that we've previously played in the prior two games against Argentina and Italy. And it allowed us to be on the ball, dominant, and passing back to our normal strengths and pick out the passes. So it was a really good, solid lineup.
complete contrast to the first two games where we conceded very early goals in both of those games, and it was us on the front foot, which we would expect, but straight out of the blocks in the second minute, Benny put in pressure on the keeper, blocks his clearance. Agosti had a shot saved in the 6th minute. Pearman's shot from distance straight at the keeper. Agosti, as you said, absolute rocket that was brilliantly saved by their keeper. And then Pearman hit the post, and we're only up to the 12th minute. That was all happening very early. Our first goal did eventually come in the 21st minute after all that pressure through Max Caputo. It was absolutely brilliantly set up by James Overy. Not much happening, but just his ability to weave through and then just slide that ball through to Caputo was well finished by Caputo, but absolutely put on a platter by James Overy as well.
Yeah, they were on fire. It was great intent from Australia, and they just kept going, didn't they? It was a great first half performance.
Yeah, and then the second goal came from Benny pouncing on an error off a corner where one of the Cuba defenders tried to chest it back to his keeper, and Benny was on hand to poke it home. The corner that they scored from actually came from the result of Overy sliding in Caputo again and winning the corner. So again, that combination came to the fore, and then Stephen Hall actually made a nice save down low just before half time, which was a good thing. So we ended up going into the sheds at half time 2-0 up. We did scuff a good chance, which was ended up being a bit of the storyline of the second half as well, just before half time when we had a nice 2-on-2, but couldn't quite get the ball right. So I think in the first half we were dominant, and we spoke at half time, mate, but Cuba only looked threatening on the break and set pieces. You see the boys starting to get a bit frustrated at times. So I think we needed to keep our heads, take our chances, and funny that I noted that at halftime we can make better decisions in the final third, because that certainly rang true in the second half, didn't it?
Oh, it definitely did, but definitely a very good performance in the first half. Passing accuracy was up, possession was up, the flow of the game was up. It was a really good passing display by the Socceroos under 20s, and I went into halftime with great confidence that we'd continue on and absolutely put a score on Cuba the way we were playing.
Well, we did start the second half very well because Caputo scored his second and Australia's third only 5 minutes into that second half. It was great play by Alex Badalado, who chased down a ball that was probably going to be rolling out, but a nice bit of skill, and then got the ball back into the box, and the ball fell to Caputo, who put it home. We then had a VAR check for Cuba in the 55th minute. And they were probably clutching at straws a bit, trying to get something out of the game, but no penalty. I think that was the Harrington handball, but definitely not a penalty. We had another chance in the 57th minute. Benny's header was well saved off a corner, and then it kind of started to derail from the 63rd minute because completely against the run of play, Cuba bundled a goal home, and we kind of just lost it from that point. So yeah, Gosty had a long range drive. Again, like so unlucky not to score Gosty, but it was tipped onto the post by the keeper. But the last kind of 20 or 25 minutes, yeah, plenty of chances, but we just, I don't know, bad decisions, and the subs just kind of didn't work. I'm not sure really what happened, mate, but what did you make of that last part of the game?
Oh, the last half an hour was, I thought we got too selfish. I think we discussed this earlier on. I just thought instead of just making the right decisions, playing the most simple ball, we started taking them on in poor positions rather than, we were 4-on-3 and 3-on-2 outside the box attacking them. And we just couldn't find that simple ball. It was really mentally disappointing that we couldn't be more clinical and more sharp with our football. I thought when the subs would come on, they'd just absolutely up the level again. But I was a bit disappointed. We missed a big opportunity. If you look at the goal difference, we've put very little pressure on these third place teams, and we need a lot of luck now tomorrow with Colombia and possibly United States against South Africa. But South Africa's got a great goal difference. But again, I've seen the fragilities in the mental state. And maybe this is the biggest learning from this World Cup, that we just couldn't compose and be clinical and sharp in the key moments. And I think if we're going to take anything out of it, that's probably it at this highest level.
Yeah, I think I agree with you in terms of the substitutions. When I saw Jovanovic and Toure coming on, even Yuli, I thought the Cuba defense looked tired and stretched at that point. And I thought, great, fresh legs are going to run at them, and to be fair, there were moments there where they created chances, but as you said, they just made the wrong decisions. Yeah, selfish at times, and a couple of times just needed to play square balls, and could have been an easy tap in basically. But I think the same can be said in a sense for Caputo and Benny as well at times, and there were times even before the sub. So I'm not sure what the thinking was there, whether it was a bit of nerves or sense of the occasion, or what it was, but just poor decision making. But yeah, I think I feel like it's going to cost us. I really hope it won't. I hope the results do end up going our way. But I just wanted to note a few comments, and thanks to our regulars for getting in touch. Soccer Oz fan said waste a chance during Italy games, which was true. Big loss against Argentina. They hope Colombia can beat Nigeria by the goals we need to tomorrow morning. And I just wanted to note that the late goals against Argentina, the two that were scored in stoppage time, and then the missed chances and conceded goal against Cuba, it's a potential like 5 goal swing, like that we could have been in our favour. Like to be honest, we could have a +2, +3 goal difference, and then the situation tomorrow morning, could be a whole lot easier for what we need. And yeah, it's just those lapses of concentration, and yeah, like there's no way that we should have only finished this game against Cuba with a 3-1 result. Like it should have, but that completely flatters Cuba in my opinion.
Yeah, 23 shots, 13 on target, possession dominant, passes, pass accuracy. All the stats were there except the mindset, I think, in that last half an hour. So, look, it's huge lessons learned, and this is what tournament football gives you. They'll have to reset and wait. We patiently wait and just pray that Colombia can do a big job and American can do a big job. And hopefully we're in there because we definitely have shown the potential. We just haven't brought it all together yet, which I thought this group could have coming off that great Asia Cup win. But on the bigger stage, we've just fallen a little bit short. Hopefully, as I said, for all the viewers, we get to watch them again because I really want to see them have another crack. But I've also got to note it's our first win since 2003, and you know what the 2003 group went on to do, the 2006 World Cup, 2010 and beyond. So is this the learnings that we need in World Cup football? It might be, and a great lesson for all players that have played. But yeah, I think we definitely left some points, goals, and everything else just a little bit out there. And you're going to learn tough lessons at this level because it is the elite.
Yeah, and if this does mean that our tournament's over, if the results don't go our way tomorrow morning, this is the last time this group are going to play together in this format for quite some time. I suppose the next time that they'll be together in these kinds of situations is potentially qualifying for the Olympics in, what would that be, 2028. So yeah, it's a shame that this group that had so much promise haven't delivered. And you know it's probably hard to analyze the Italy and Argentina results until we know how far those teams are going to go in the tournament. Because if it ends up being that they're some of the best teams in the tournament, we're probably just unlucky to draw them in
Yeah,
our group. But I
definitely.
still think that we had it in our hands this morning to put ourselves in a much better position. Despite those 2 losses, we could have still put ourselves in a much better position, and we missed the opportunity. Great, amazing that we get our first win in 22 years at a under 20 World Cup, but you just can't help but think of what if.
Yep. And we'll have to leave it at that because, and we obviously wish Australian under 20s all the best in watching the other games unfold tomorrow morning. And we'll be closely watching to see if we can surpass and hold on to one of those third place spots. And hopefully we get to talk again next week in regards to round of 16 opponent.
I just want to touch on a quick comment that Oslock has made, and thank you for your contribution. He's mentioned Kikianis or Harrington, and giving Harrington the big tick. I thought he was really good this morning. So yeah, as you said, really dominant in the air, read the play really well, got some speed, can play the ball as well. So yeah, I was really impressed with Harrington. He's given Ocon and Overy the big stars, and yeah, I couldn't disagree anymore. You saw the difference with Ocon this morning with a little bit more time and space and what he can do. So he was fantastic. Badalado, Benny's given him a thumbs up, so can't disagree necessarily with that. Agosti and Pearman and Caputo, he said good as well. Yuli good off the bench. I thought he could have probably offered a bit more today, to be honest, but probably had limited opportunity. Yeah, and then mentioned Toure, massive potential, but simply lacked impact. First touch, kind of not good enough. So, yeah, I can't really disagree with much of what Oslock said there. You know, there were players, and look, Trevor Morgan mentioned this at the start of the tournament. You know, there are going to be some players that stand out. There are going to be some that are going to learn lessons, and it's what they learn and take from it. So let's hope that those ones that haven't performed up to their standard, that they can learn from it and take that forward with them.
Oh, it's a great journey and a great opportunity to be part of it. So I'm sure every player will get a lot out of it. So well said, and I agree with all those comments there. They're spot on, and I couldn't agree more.
All right, mate. Let's move on to the Australia Cup. You've already given us a little bit of an insight into the goings on, but the Newcastle Jets did win 3-1. It took extra time to get it done, but they overcame Heidelberg in the end. Fantastic crowd at Lakeside Stadium, great atmosphere. You know, it says a lot about, you know, not going to these larger stadiums when you see that kind of capacity and the noise and the atmosphere that it generates. So, yeah, fantastic, and well done to all those in attendance that made it so special. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on the game, mate? Yeah, what did you make of the start? And obviously, Heidelberg got off to an absolute flyer.
Oh, mate, they probably should have started with a penalty. If
Yeah,
VAR was in operation, I've got no doubt the laws of the game, even though it's every penalty is debatable, isn't it, at some point. But I think VAR would have called that a penalty, and I think Heidelberg would have had the opportunity to take a 1-0 lead. But you know, the football gods has again turned around in the 8th minute, and Ryan Leafland scores a great header. So strong in the box, isn't he? Such a big body.
yeah.
Scores in the 8th minute after Ben Collins heads back across goals from a free kick, and Leyland nods in. So we've seen this before, haven't we? Heidelberg just take the lead and just be patient with the ball, and obviously sit in deep to try to stop that next counter. But gee, didn't Newcastle dial it up? Their football was unbelievable. The possession, the movement, the pressing, it was just relentless, and the possession stats were going through the roof, and chances created. It was just a matter of time, wasn't it? And we've seen this. We said they're the moving club for a reason. That the youth and the mix and balance they've got was really showing on the football pitch. You wouldn't think that this football team had been, put together by Mark Milligan such a short time ago, but the continuity they showed was fantastic, and really put Heidelberg under the most pressure they've ever done. And then obviously 21st minute, Max Burgess responds. It was deflected, shot after some nice play into the goal, but he was assisted by Thomas Aquilino, who had an outstanding game down that right-hand side. He was sharp as it created all sorts of problems. That left side defence of Heidelberg just couldn't handle him. It was just the ball movement was just too good. And we're at 1-1 again. And like Heidelberg's games, it just seemed to, sit in deep, and they held off Newcastle. Credit to them, because again, Newcastle were still playing that fast tempo. It was electric, and it was great to watch for any neutral fan or any fan of both clubs. And I thought the first half just was action packed and really feisty, and the will was just sensational.
Yeah, it was very much kind of an ebb and flow match. Plenty of controversy. A lot of that came on a little bit later. I just wanted to pick up Xavier Bertoncello as someone you called out during the game that you were really impressed with.
I just love his movement. It's just fantastic. He's a striker with a cannon right foot, mate. He's been a mainstay in the youth team since the age of 16, and an academy product. And, he just looks electric. I love his movement off the ball. It just allows so much space to be opened up. He pulls Heidelberg defenders all over the place, and just his work rate. And the fact that he's from the academy just makes this story even better. And he's got a little bright future there, hasn't he? Which a lot of these young Jets are, and it's credit to the Jets. A lot of these boys have come from their own academy, and Mark Milligan's backed them in, and should get a lot of credit for giving the kids these opportunity. I've seen a lot of comments about baby faces and all that kind of stuff. There are a couple of good stalwarts in Newcastle that balances it out, but yeah, these kids, they're just, their touch and movement off the ball was just great. Oh, just such good football.
It's probably worth pointing out at this point that Robbie Stanton, it's almost like through just lack of being able to invest and bring in other players, he was forced to play the youth and bring them through. And he even commented basically on his way out the door saying that the next manager that comes in behind me is going to be able to build on what I've already done here. So you're kind of seeing the fruits of that now, and it definitely seems like Milligan's going to give these kids an opportunity, and it doesn't seem like many of them are letting him down at this stage. Yokokawa from Heidelberg, he missed the one-on-one towards the end of the 90 minutes, scooping the ball wide for Heidelberg, which was a big chance for them to win the game. But it did go into extra time. And what about a couple of minutes into extra time when 19-year-old Oscar Fry absolutely lit up Lakeside Stadium?
Oh, he picked the ball up from the corner, didn't he? And just drove across on an angle, and what a left-footed shot! Another Oscar Fryer. What another story! Like, just these stories of these Jets players are something to behold. And we know Australian football's healthy and well, don't we? When we see these type of players come through, and again, like I said, the great leadership of not only Mark Milligan but Johnny A. Just for what they've done for their clubs, just unbelievable. But Oscar Fryer, absolute screamer, and he's definitely. I know I had to add him into my team of the week, Chief, because that just has to be rewarded. What a fantastic goal, and put the Jets in the driving seat after Heidelberg had many opportunities on the counter attack to win the game. But again, Newcastle scrambled, and they just again counter attacked themselves with great movement of the football, with Oscar picking that ball up from the corner and driving it into the far post.
Yeah, absolute screamer. One of those ones that's just impossible for a keeper to get. And then after that one, just before halftime and extra time, Heidelberg had another shout for a penalty waved away. It was probably a little bit soft, to be honest, if I'm giving my opinion on that one. And then Ben Gibson had a shot saved right at the start, half of extra time. And then a bit of chaos ensued after that one because Kostas Grozos of the Jets, he received 2 yellow cards within the space of 4 minutes, and he got an early shower after that one. And then Apostolos from Heidelberg was sent off about less than a minute after that one for denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. He'd only been on the pitch 7 minutes. So all of a sudden, we're down to 10 versus 10 for the last little bit of the game.
Oh, I told you from the 70th minute, this game just had so many moments, and even prior to the 70th minute, but from the 70th minute on, it was just full pace. It was electric, and it was unbelievable football to watch. It was a great show, and yeah, but in the 115th minute, we have to move on, don't we? And Ben Gibson seals the win with a neat two touch, and what a great finish that was. How good was that control at his feet?
Oh, mate, like the ball got fizzed into him, and it was just like, first touch control, second touch put it where he wanted, third in the back of the net. It was class, mate, absolute class.
Mate, if you're a Newcastle supporter, and I've seen them cross live, I'm not sure what club it was too, but they were going ecstatic. But what about going ecstatic for the season? How pumped
Yeah.
is this going to take this will drive the membership and it'll drive the fans, and what a Cinderella story to from both clubs, that they've got great futures going forward with both their groups.
Credit to the Newcastle fans who travelled down as well. They travelled down in big numbers. I think they ended up putting some free coaches on, if I'm not mistaken, for the
4:30 in
fans.
the morning they had to go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good on them. Like they want to support their club. It's as you said, it's their first trophy. 17 years. So these occasions don't come around all that often. So yeah, it ended up being 3-1 result. So congratulations to the Jets and commiserations to Heidelberg. But what do you think this means for the Jets? We've spoken about them many times being the moving club, and yeah, we're really excited about what's going to happen with them this season. Noted they're missing some players. Clayton Taylor, who had requested to leave a couple of times. I believe he's still on the books there. But Eli Adams was one of their more influential players. during last season. He wasn't there last night, and obviously Alex Battleado at the World Cup. So they were missing a few, but still got it done. But do you think they can take this momentum into the season?
Yeah, well, look, when we previewed before a few months ago, we thought Newcastle was moving in a great direction, not only from Mark Milligan's appointment, but the way the club was moving forward with their academy and what they've built, and ownership-wise too. Stability was an amazing thing, and the players that we bought that he was bringing in, Battleado especially, we thought this he would balance out that beautiful academy, especially in that midfield. And it proved to be strong. And as we went along week by week, we just seen them get stronger and stronger and stronger. And they're definitely going to be a moving club. I'm not sure how far they can get up, but they're definitely, look, the future's definitely bright after some horrendous years. So they've been in struggle town for a long time. So they're exciting in the Hunter and in the Newcastle region. They've got their football team back, and what a great job Mark Milligan's done. What a fearless leader he was on the pitch, and he's gone through his coaching ranks, and he's just bringing that all to Newcastle Jets, and they've got the bonus of having him, and he's going to be highly touted. And seen even a few comments about the next Ange and all that coming through. So, but what he's done so far, you can't deny it. Look, he's got a long way to go before he gets to Ange's stature, but it's just exciting to talk about.
And look, we know what a great breeding ground Newcastle is for footballers. And so a strong national presence as the Jets can only help that, because all these young players coming through are going to aspire to be able to get to that level. I think they kind of were anyway, but if they're a successful club too, what a great opportunity for those young players coming through. I think it's worth mentioning Max Burgess, who was named the player of the match. Frozen out completely at Sydney FC last season, gets his goal last night and man of the match performance. And I think he's going to have a cracking season, and he's going to show any doubters that there are out there about what his capabilities are. And he's the type of player that if he's got mobility around him, he can make it really work. So I think he's in for a big season.
Yeah, just need an opportunity, just like Battleado, and they've come together, and it's just gelled. And yeah, look, it's going to be great to see them finally get first team football and really express their talent. And given that opportunity, the Jets have done. So credit to the ownership group there. We've also got to give credit to John Aristides at Heidelberg. What fantastic run for their club. Second in the NPL, and I reckon they probably would have won the NPL if it wasn't for the Hahn Cup run as well. They had to juggle so much football in between, but in Victoria, meaning that they've qualified for the Australian Championship though, which is a crucial one coming up in a few weeks, as Avondale being a foundation member. So Heidelberg did go on to be crowned Victoria. They did get a trophy, so Avondale and Heidelberg share the spoils in Victoria. But what a stunning run for Heidelberg, and they deserve to be there. Like we said, 718 clubs. They couldn't have handled themselves any better, and have been a really good model for Australian football, and showed all these clubs belong, don't they? The Australian Championship A-League, it can work. It can really work if we get this pyramid working, and hopefully we see the fruits of that in the Australian Championship.
Yeah, they've certainly shown that they're well worth it. And let's not forget that these guys are only semi-professional as well. So, you give them a bit more opportunity, a bit more training, a bit more facilities. You just don't know what they could do. But yeah, outstanding season from Heidelberg. Knocked over 3 A-League teams on their way to the Australia Cup final. And what an outstanding season, and what a job that John Anastasiadis has done. And no doubt that he'll be in the mix of names if any A-League jobs come up as well. But next focus for him is obviously the Australian Championship, which kicks off this weekend. So no stopping for Heidelberg, just straight into it.
Yep, game by game. Great work. And look, we wish them well in the Australian Championship. All the best, and pick yourselves up, because you're a true credit to Australian football as a club and as a community. So well done.
I just want to touch finally, mate, before we end part one, but it's been a really entertaining competition, the Australia Cup this year. As you said, and partially it could be because of the standard of the A-League has dropped down a little bit over the past season, so that gap between the NPL clubs and the A-League clubs isn't so big, particularly when you think about NPL clubs being in season and the A-League clubs being in pre-season. So we have seen a few more cup sets potentially than we have in the past. So it just makes it, if the NPL clubs believe that they can do it and they want to take a big scalp, we've seen some cracking games, cracking goals, and it's been a really fun competition to watch.
Yeah, thank you, Han. Thank you, Paramount, Channel 10 as well for the coverage. It's but like even the draw was fantastic when they did the round of 32 and round of 16. I thought that was really entertaining. So the marketing was really cool for the the opportunities that they had, and yeah, it was just a great competition. Great to see so many stories and journeys, isn't it? When you dive down into those all different levels of the 718 clubs. Football, we always worry about Australian football. We never should. It's all here. It's just needs to be unearthed, doesn't it, and put in the right structure because everything's here for us, mate. And I can't speak highly enough of Australian football and where it's at. And I know we want it at this certain level with whatever pyramid looks like, but there's 718 clubs that are part of something big, and we wish them all well. Again, when this cup competition kicks off again next season.
Yeah, well said, mate. It's all there. We just need to put the right pieces in place, and yeah, it can be really great or much better than it currently is. But let's enjoy the product for what it is for the moment. All right, let's going to do us a part one. In part two, we're going to have a look at all the overseas action because there's plenty of good performances over the last few days. We'll be back in a sec. If you like our content, why not give us a follow on the socials where we provide lots of updates between podcast episodes. We're most active on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X. So search the Aussie Game and you should be able to find us. All right, let's get back into it. All right, we're back, Mopper, and let's crack through some of the overseas action because there's plenty going on. Do you want to start us off with the Women's Super League over in England?
Yeah, the big guns clashed, and Man U Chelsea were first up, and it was 1-1 with Ellie Carpenter playing a full game with 32 accurate passes. And Sam Kerr continues comeback with 12 minutes. Chelsea remain top, though, and I just wanted to note, if you want to jump on X and go to Chelsea's account, Sam Kerr making the day of two young Aussies at the end of the game, thanking them for coming along and signing their jerseys. It was a beautiful moment. You go and watch it if you get a chance. It was fantastic. Over with the other big guns, Man City hosted Arsenal, and Man City come out on top 3-2. Fowler's still out, but Catley played a full game, and Ford started for the first time in a while, and Cooney Cross finally got some minutes, but it was an unhappy night as they dropped some more crucial points. They previously had a couple of draws, so Arsenal dropping off the pace a little, but didn't get too far away because of Man U and Chelsea's draw. Over in the Championship, all the boys were in action, which was good. Blackburn secured a late draw, 1-1 against Stoke, with Lewis Miller playing a full game as they sit 1 point ahead of the relegation places. So Blackburn have got some work to do. We've seen Portsmouth and Borough, another all-Aussie affair, which ended in a 1-0 win to Pompey. It was a big win for Pompey. Silvera missed out, though, and he missed out, obviously, for the Socceroos, seeing no game time. So not a happy week for Silvera. Segacic, for the second time, started on the bench, also missed out, but was a second-half sub and played 26 minutes. Hayden Matthews, who made the Socceroos, also was an unused sub again on the bench. So really struggling for time there with Pompey, but Pompey winning 1-0 and moving up the table. Well, this was exciting. We were all wondering what was going to happen with the coach with Watford and the Irukunda. Well, it all turned out for both of them very well. Watford got an important win, 2-1 win over Oxford, and all eyes was on Irakunda's reaction, but he did stay on the pitch for 87 minutes this time, and he did have a smile on his face. So he was busy. He had 5 shots, and Watford got the 3 points as they moved up the table as well.
It's a good indication of Irukunda coming back from such disappointment during the week and responding like that. Like, we don't see what happens behind closed doors, but by all accounts, it looked like he had a good performance and a good game. So, he's taken that in the right way and shown what he can do on the pitch.
Probably got an arm over the shoulder and said, "It's okay, mate. Just relax. There's plenty more football ahead." Swansea, we talk about Cam Burgess. Unfortunately, they went down 3-1 to the Foxes. The Foxes were on fire in this game, but Cam Burgess played a full game, got a yellow card, but didn't have the happiest of nights with the loss. And Millwall, Mr. Consistent, Masalongo, played a full game in a 3-0 win over West Brom. A fantastic win for Millwall. Just has them on the edges of the playoffs. We moved down a division and League One. So Wigan, Rafael Borges Rodriguez plays 89 minutes in Wigan's 1-1 draw with Plymouth. He had most tackles and he was the most fouled player and he had most duels won. So a very good night for Rafael. He's really settled in well there at Wigan. And then Mr. the man between the sticks, again, Port Vale, Joe Gauchi, getting some more game time. Second straight clean sheet as Port Vale drew 0-0 with Northampton, and they're getting very consistent now, and so's Gauchi's minutes between the sticks. We move up to Scotland and some exciting games here. Dundee United secured a 1-1 draw at home to Livingston in an all-Aussie affair. Zach Sabsford putting in a strong shift with a full game. Ryan Strain unused sub. And for Dundee and for Livingston, so Livingston's Teti Yangi got 53 minutes off the bench. So St Mirren, Kanu Bacchus came on at half time as a second half substitute, but the damage was already done. Kilmarnock were already 2-0 up in this one with 2 first half goals. He stopped the bleeding, but they couldn't get back into the game and lost 2-0 to Kilmarnock. Hearts and Hibs, well, wasn't this a battle? It was right down to the wire, this one. Another all-Aussie battle. Another with 3 Aussies starting. So Hearts stayed top with an unbeaten 1-0 win with Socceroo cap Cammy Devlin having another busy night. Obviously, Martin Boyle was on the other side and Iredale as well. So, but Cammy Devlin, once again, the devil in the midfield, strikes as Hearts get up 1-0 and stay top of the table.
Yeah, they're absolutely flying. Even if Celtic win tonight, they'll still remain top going into the international break. So very, very positive signs for Hearts, and that's a derby. That's the Edinburgh derby with Hibs. So, yeah, bragging rights in Edinburgh for all the Hearts fans as well. So, yeah, great for Cammy Devlin. Callum Nieuwenhof over at Hearts is still coming back from injury as well. So hopefully he's back on the pitch soon. Let's go to Italy, mate, because in Parma, Ali Siccardi played a full game, but they unfortunately went down 1-0. But good to see that consistent game time for Siccardi still coming. And, it's just important for Parma at their level to just pick up as many points as they can along the way. This one was really pleasing. A couple of Aussies at US Swallow in the women's Serie A. Jess Nash played a full 90 minutes. Jacinta Galabatarachi, she was an unused sub as they held Juventus to a 0-0 draw. So what an outstanding way for Jess Nash in particular, who was on the field to start her career over in Italy with a 0-0 draw against the powerhouse that is Juventus. So, yeah, credit to Jess Nash for that one.
Great experience for Jess Nash and great moment in football as she continues to grow.
Yeah, let's look at Spain, mate. A big win for Matty Ryan. His Levante continued to pick up the points. He kept his second clean sheet of the La Liga season with a 2-0 win, lifting him up to 12th. So he had 12 shots at his goal, 2 on target, and kept that clean sheet. So, yeah, they continue to build in Spain, which is really pleasing. In the Netherlands, in the second division, the Eerste Divisie, Cam Pupion came on for the last 90 minutes, scored a goal in ADO Den Haag's 4-0 win, maintaining their lead at the top of the table. They're actually on a 7-match winning streak, still unbeaten this season, so they're absolutely flying, looking for promotion. And Josh Nisbet's Rotor JC, not too far behind them. They're in 4th spot. He played 88 minutes in Rotor JC's 2-1 win to maintain that position in the Eerste Divisie. So it's interesting, those two players' clubs. So they're 1st and 4th, but I think Ajax's youth team is about 2nd or 3rd, and they are unable to get promoted. So there is the potential that both our players could be in the Eredivisie next season. Early in the season, yes, but signs are looking good. Over in Austria, Noah Bodic, he started and played 74 minutes as his Austria Vienna went down 1-0 to BW Linz. Unfortunately, Bodic unable to trouble the scorers in that one. And then Grazer AK, Jacob Italiano, he played the full 90 for Grazer AK. They lost 3-1 to Wolfsberger, who are going well in Austria, but can't say the same for Grazer AK, unfortunately. They're still yet to win a game this season. after 9 games, and they sit bottom in Austria. So, yeah, terrible start for Jacob Italiano's side.
Yes, at least he's playing and getting game time. I think, no matter what happens with his club, his football and his level of football has been good enough.
Yeah, definitely. Over in Switzerland, Liam Chipfield scored a late winner for Sion in their mid-table battle with Luzerne. That one ended up 3-3, the final result. So well done to Chippers Jr. In Sweden, big night for some of our Aussies over there. Amy Sayer, she picked up a goal and an assist within 2 minutes of each other in a 2-1 win for Kristianstad's over Vitcho GIK. Remy Seamson played 75 minutes for Kristianstad's, and Daniela Galic played 71 for Vitcho GIK. Jada Wyman unable to keep a clean sheet as her AIK go down to league leaders Hammarby 1-0. And Courtney Nevin, her side had a 2-1 win over Rosengard, maintaining third spot on the table in Sweden. Do you want to take us through Japan, mate?
Yes, definitely. Alpha Pappas, Saraza Osaka side go down 2-1 to Nagoya Grampus. Machida Zovia, which is Mitch Duke's team, he got 25 minutes off the bench after a recall to the Socceroos in Machida's 2-1 loss to Sanfrecce. Yokohama FC Marinos, Thomas Deng got 26 minutes off the bench as his side loses 1-0, leaving them out of the relegation only on goal difference. There's 5 games to go. Tense times over there for
Tied at the
Yokohama.
top and the bottom of the
Oh,
J-League.
wow, it's a competition and a half over there. So we wish all the boys all the best. Hopefully, Yokohama can get out of trouble as we've got a lot of history with that club. In America, USA, in Nashville, Patrick Yazbek, after lifting a trophy during the week, plays 12 minutes off the bench in a 1-1 draw with Montreal. We'll be playing there, the Socceroos in Montreal, very soon. In DC United versus Charlotte. So DC United have 2 players sent off in the first 30 minutes and managed to only get beaten 1-0. Kyle Rolls played a full game for DC United, and Archie Goodwin starting to get some minutes off the bench, getting 16 for Charlotte. So Archie Goodwin, good to see him getting some game time there as he starts to blend into this Charlotte team.
Do you think
New-
DC United want the season to end, or what?
Well, there's no relegation over there, so they can just finish and bounce back, can't they? But at least Rolls played a part, isn't he? It's good to see him still continuing to get game time over there. But yeah, his team are way down the bottom with hardly a win. But anyway, it's always next season. New York City FC, Aidan O'Neill gets 45 minutes off the bench as they lose 1-0 to Philadelphia. We just want to talk about the NWSL, which is the Portland Thorns. Mackenzie Arnold plays for Portland, so they had a 2-1 win over Bay FC. The win moves them up to 4th in a very tight NWSL season, where 3rd and 8th are separated by just 3 points and with only 3 games to go. So all happening there with the Women's League as well in America. So that's a bit of a wrap, Chief. Anything stick out for you there in part 2?
I just wanted to touch on Mackenzie Arnold over at Portland Thorns, because one thing I have noted is that obviously Jada Wyman's getting minutes in Sweden, but Tegan Micah not getting minutes since her move to Lyon in the off-season. So we know that Matildas squad was probably a couple of weeks away from being selected. So, Tegan Micah has been perceived as the one to take the gloves for the Matildas over recent times. But if she's not getting game time at Lyon, and I believe she's actually behind, I think it's the Norwegian number 1 keeper as well, and they've also got an up-and-coming French goalkeeper there on the books too. So, yeah, if she's going to struggle for game time there, I wonder if Mackenzie Arnold is going to be favoured to get that starting spot.
Yeah, look, she's tried and tested, and we'll do a great job. And both girls, at least we've got competition, and even our young keepers are coming through very well too. So
Yeah, Chloe Lincoln as well.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
lots of depth there. So I don't think the Matildas will have any trouble. Yeah, it was a late move, wasn't it, to Leon? So maybe haven't found a feet, but look, we wish her best, and hopefully we'll start to see some game time soon.
Yeah, anything of note for you in that part too?
Oh, look, lots of games tonight, so we'll have more information. Plenty of games tonight for some more Aussies, but good to see the Aussie boys. I think the championship side, they're in the bottom half of the table, but all picked up crucial wins. Portsmouth, Watford, and Millwall. Millwall just outside the playoffs, but Portsmouth and Watford moved to mid-table, so they're important wins there in the championship. And good to see Aussies still getting most of them lots of game time.
Absolutely, mate. All right, that'll do us for part two. We're gonna have a quick break. We'll be back for part three, when we're gonna touch on some national team news, give it an A-Leagues wrap, go through the fixtures for the Australian Championship, and then we'll give you our team of the week. We'll be back in a sec. Thanks for listening to the Aussie Game Podcast. If you enjoy our content, we'd really appreciate you giving us a rating or a review on your preferred podcast platform. And if you do know of any Australian football fans that might enjoy it as well, sharing the podcast would mean a lot to us. All right, let's get back to the show. Okay, Mopper, let's talk a bit on our national teams. Tony Popovic announced his squad for the Socceroos on Friday. We did a special bonus episode on Friday with our thoughts on the squad that he has now. If you're interested, go back and have a listen to that one. We went through in a fair bit of detail some of those redemption stories, some of those surprise inclusions, and gave analysis on that one. Was there anything else that's come to you in the last couple of days, mate, that you wanted to share? Obviously, a lot of our players, either the ones that were called up or missed the opportunity, have had the chance to play in that time as well.
Yeah, so everyone's had a chance to respond, but they'll have, as we move into another window. I think the next international window is in November. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep. So heard talks of possible South American teams that we could play. So I don't think it'd be too long before we see. Obviously, we've seen Group One, Australia, versus New Zealand. Now we're seeing Group Two with a few changes. So he's got a pool of players there that he can pick from, and again, another window in November, might bring some stories there that might come back again. He's just testing a few things out. So another window to come in November. So exciting, and just looking forward to getting the Socceroos back and watching these players play again.
I saw it was reported for that November window. Two ideas that I've seen mentioned, that one is playing Argentina in India, and the other one is actually trying to host someone in Australia to celebrate 20 years since that 2005 winning game against Uruguay that sent us to the World Cup.
That would be special. That would be,
Yeah, that'd be
hopefully,
awesome. I think
it's
they're
just trying to
struggling.
crack someone, yeah?
I think that's the problem. I think they're struggling to get someone to travel all the way down to Australia to play the game. So we'll see. I'm sure that those announcements will be happening pretty soon, given the window is only probably 6 weeks away. So yeah, I'm sure we'll hear about that very soon. So a couple of announcements from Football Australia during the week for our underage teams. So the Australian under-23s have been drawn in Group D for the Under-20 Asian Cup Saudi Arabia 2026, which kicks off in January, obviously, of next year. So we've been drawn in Group D against Iraq, Thailand, and China. So what do you make of that group? You'd probably look at Iraq as the toughest opponent out of those teams.
Yeah, sometimes China develops some talent as well, so they'll be competitive. Look, it's a group that we've just got to go and attack and try to finish top of the group so we can, get a favourable draw or a better draw. 16 teams, so it's going to be straight to quarterfinals after that. And it's, again, another massive tournament. We've seen the 20s win the Asia Cup, so yeah, onward and upward. There's a lot of great talent of under 23s. It'd be very interesting to see who they pick and select, especially some of these fringe Socceroos. So potentially could get picked. Is it? We'd have to check whether it's probably not a window, is it? Or is it a window?
No, given it's in January. I think the next Asian Cup for the seniors is an international window, but I don't think this one will be. So
Yeah,
same
could be a
struggles again.
challenge. Yeah,
Yeah.
could be a challenge. But we've seen a lot of youngsters play, especially in the Han Cup. So, and we've seen the 23s have plenty of games during the year too. So a good pool to pick from, and yeah, I think be right up there. And obviously, no doubt the big ones are going to be again Iran and Japan at the tournament.
And I also think that, as we reflected on our under-20s World Cup campaign, some of them may be in the mix for this one as well, even though they're, a couple of years below the age limit, if they're going to show the potential, and particularly the ones that are A-League clubs, because no doubt there'll be an agreement from Football Australia and the clubs to release players for that tournament. So we should still be able to put out a very competitive team for
Yeah,
that.
which is really important because we haven't seen any A-League players selected in the Socceroos squads, and there's definitely some ones are in that age bracket that could provide a good platform.
All right, let's have a look a bit closer to home, mate. And the PFA announced their A-League men's team of the decade, of the second decade of the A-League competition, so from 2015 to 2025. Some outstanding players in here, plenty of Socceroos as well. So I'll just read you through the lineup that they've put out there. So Danny Vukovic in goals, obviously multiple A-League winner. Scotty Jamieson, Curtis Good, Alex Wilkinson captains the side, Ryan Grant in the midfield, Luke Bratton, Diego Castro, Milos Ninkovic. Probably a bit of work there for Luke Bratton to do if those two are playing alongside him. But
Yeah, definitely.
Craig Goodman, Jamie McLaren, and Costa Barbarouses up front. Plenty of goals amongst the three of them. And then on the bench, we've got Jamie Young, Nikolai Topor-Stanley, Aziz Bayic, Anthony Caceres, Isaias, Bruno Fornaroli, and Bessart Berisha. Geez, there's some quality on that bench as well, isn't there?
It's just great recognition. Yeah, we've had so much
Yeah,
talent in the A-League. It's probably gone unnoticed, but not to the fans who follow it. There's been some great footballers here, and we've been very lucky and privileged to watch these players play throughout the A-League's history.
absolutely, mate. Yeah, and well done to all those that were selected. Steve Corica, who's obviously still going around with Auckland FC, was named the coach for that team. So, yeah, well done to all those who made that team of the second decade of the A-League. We're going to go around the grounds with the A-League teams, mate. There's not a whole lot to report on, I suppose, because a lot of the transfers are done and they're just ramping up for the season to start, which is going to kick off in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm just going to touch on a few of them. So Adelaide United, their men's side, they had a couple of games during the week. They beat Metro Stars, who were one of those Australia Cup teams that thrilled throughout that tournament, and they lost 3-0 to Melbourne Victory during the week. Over at Perth Glory, their women's team, they've signed defender Julia Sardo, who's returned to the club. Brisbane Roar, they had obviously their trip over to the Solomon Islands. I think it was much more than the actual football game, but the official result was they drew 1-1 with the Solomon Islands. So decent result for the Brisbane Roar. And then on their women's side, a signing, Josie Studer signs, and then their women's team had a 2-2 draw with the Queensland State team. For the Jets, Alex Nassiep signs a scholarship deal, so another young gun for Mark Milligan to bring through. Sydney FC announced this week, we know they've got the issues with Allianz Stadium not being available. They announced that the Big Blue clash between them and Melbourne Victory will be held at Leichhardt Oval. I think that's fair enough. It was probably the option of Leichhardt or Cogra, but what do you think? I think that's probably fair enough of the options available.
Yeah, look, it's just they left this one open, yeah, because obviously they were hoping for Allianz. But yeah, look, Leichhardt and Cogger both provide great atmosphere and both got good pitches. So they've played there at both grounds. So well done to Leichhardt Oval, and look forward to seeing a fantastic crowd out there.
Yep. And on the pitch, Sydney FC lost 1-0 to the Mariners in a friendly, with the only goal going to the Mariners, obviously, striker Ryan Edmondson. Good news story again for Mariners as Brad Tart played his second game, I think that was, but this one was a start, and he captained the Mariners. So I think he's going to add a lot to that Mariners midfield now that his body's right from that injury, that long injury layoff. The Wanderers, they've made a signing for the women's team. Janae DeFazio and also Brianna Edwards have come in. Melbourne Victory, Leah Privatelli, she announced her retirement from professional football. Lots of tributes to Leah during the week that I saw. So, yeah, fantastic achievement throughout her career, and we wish her all the best for what's next. Melbourne City, of course, bringing through more youngsters through their academy. Matthew Baker and Ryan Calms, two academy graduates that signed their first professional contracts. Obviously, Melbourne City played in the ACL Elite competition during the week. They unfortunately went down to a late goal, and the MacArthur Bulls, they had a positive 3-0 win against Beijing Guan in their game as well. So we recorded a podcast on those ones during the week, so you can get our analysis on those ones if you want to go back and have a listen. And just finally, across the A-Leagues, Canberra United, young Matildas midfielder Ava Breedis signs for the upcoming season. They've added a fair few young Matildas to their squad for Canberra United, so they could be an exciting team to look at this season.
And also, too, on Australian news, the Australian Championship kicks off this weekend with South Melbourne hosting Sydney Olympic on Friday at 7 p.m. The Metro Stars plays West Apia FC on Saturday at 1 p.m. We've also got Preston Lions versus Northwestern Spirit on the Saturday the 11th at 3 p.m. We've got on Sunday Broadmeadow Magic versus Moreton City. That is at Sunday 12th October at 1 p.m. On 1 p.m. also on that Sunday is South Hobart versus the Wollongong Wolves. On the 12th, again, 1 p.m, Heidelberg, no rest for them. They're at home against Marconi. 4:30 later on Sunday, we've got Sydney United versus Bayswater City. And at the same time, 4:30, Avondale play Canberra, Croatia. So lots of excitement there. Tickets for sale. So get out to your local teams and support the opening round of the Australian Championship.
My pick of the game there is probably a bit of an obvious one, but really looking forward to the Wollongong Wolves being back in the national competition, taking on the premiers of the NPL Tasmania competition in South Hobart, who are a very aspirational club with what they want to achieve. They want to join the Australian Championship permanently. So exciting to see that matchup. Any ones that stand out for you, mate? There's actually some crackers in there.
Oh, they're all good. I'm just glad to see these teams back and playing in a championship. You know, these are custodian clubs, and they want to progress. And I just great to see them all playing and in a competition that hopefully raises the profile of Australian football again, and just shows that we've got the depth and the talent in there to get that pyramid right if we can provide that right structure. I think you've seen what Heidelberg's done in the Hahn Cup and the interest it's generated. Hopefully these Australian Championship teams can do the same, and everyone can get out and support them and vote by numbers and show by facts that they all belong.
Absolutely, mate. Well said. And now don't forget that all these games are available on the SBS network, either on the free-to-air channels or through the on-demand setup as well. So if you can't make the games, try and get the viewership up on as many games as we possibly can. So yeah, it's exciting start, and we look forward to bringing you updates on the Australian Championship as the weeks go on. All right, mate, we're going to finish off this episode with our team of the week. Bit hotly contested, this one, because there were some really great performances, and we are going back to last weekend after we recorded as well, because we don't want to forget some performances from there. But Matty Ryan's going to start in goals. Obviously, his Levante picking up some good results, and Matty Ryan having some clean sheets along the way as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's great to see him back, and he's back in the Socceroos team against Canada and America, and no doubt looking forward to that.
Ali Siccardi is going to play, well, we're playing three at the back, so Siccardi's going to play in one of those spots. Excuse me. His Palmer obviously lost overnight, but they did pick up a good win during the week, as did Cam Burgess for Swansea. They had a good win during the week as well, and Cam Burgess had a great game. We wanted to reward Jess Nash for her debut in the Serie A women's competition, and that big result, that 0-0 draw with Juventus. So well done to Jess, and she partners Siccardi and Burgess in that backline. Do you want to talk through the midfielders, mate?
Mate, we've picked Yazbek. He's won Nashville's first trophy, so we can't forget that midweek. What a great performance, 81 minutes in that game. And Nashville delivers, and Yazbek at the heart of the midfield week in, week out. So he is in. Max Burgess won the medal last night in the Hahn Cup. Great performance, but not only last night, great performance, but the journey that he's done with Newcastle as well. Well rewarded and great recognition last night against Heidelberg and winning 3-1 over there in the Hahn Cup. Amy Sayer, great goal last night. She's on fire, and
and an assist too. Yeah.
And an assist. Yep, she's just in great form. And young Gallic, who scored a goal during the week. Again, one of the young up-and-coming Matildas, 19 years of age, already capped 5 times. Watch out for her. She's having a great season. And Fryer, the winner of the Hahn Cup, getting the ball from the corner and getting a cracker. And what a smile. Babyface assassin. I couldn't leave him out, Chief. It was a moment for the ages as he scored the winner. And how could we forget the 2 forwards, Segicic, who was dropped from the Socceroos, but then responds coming off the bench to score, and he come off the bench again last night in a 1-0 win. And Bodic, she scored a goal during the week with great relief, finally starting the last 2 games. So we thought we'd put him in there with a goal and obviously good contribution, even though they lost last night.
Yeah, that's there was a few that were a bit unlucky to miss this team, but this is what we've landed on for this week. But we'll put this up on social media probably tonight during the week. But let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you agree or disagree, and maybe some players that we should have included. But yeah, that's our team of the week, and that's us for this episode, mate. Thank you for your time. It's been a big couple of days in Australian football. All eyes are going to be on those results in the Under-20 World Cup tomorrow morning. Let's hope our Young Socceroos can scrape through, and then it's all out to the knockout, these one-off games, to see what we can do in the World Cup. But let's get through tomorrow morning first, and let's hope they can get through.
Yep, and then onward to the Socceroos camp, who play this Saturday coming up against Canada. So lots to look forward to this week.
Absolutely, mate. Thanks for your time, and thanks everyone. Thanks all the listeners. Thanks for your support. We look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, enjoy your football.
All the best.